Today we're gonna look at how Remitly works, what Remitly is, and all the details about this platform. So first of all, what is it? It's simply a platform that allows you to send money from point A to point B. Usually it's money sent to, I don't know, family members or for contract. Let's say you have a relative in the United States who wants to send you money to Colombia. This is a platform that's very useful for that. Among the most important things they mention is that you have peace of mind when making the transfer, that they offer great value because in theory they provide good exchange rates or special offers, which we'll look at later when we talk about exchange rates. They also provide us with a guaranteed delivery time. And then here we have the platforms through which we can do this cash pickup, bank deposit, and so on. And it says Da Vivienda, Bancolombia, I think this is Bancolombia, La Mano Daviplata, Movi, BBVA, Éxito, Escucha, Banco El Patria, Nequi, Banco de Bogotá, Banco de Occidente, Banco Popular. And I suppose Javilas should also be included since it's part of the Aval group. So that's basically what we have. Then there's the fact that it has a certain level of security, obviously, because we're dealing with money here, and it offers customer service 24 hours a day. Honestly, this is an extremely simple website. It's almost too simple. And well, I don't know. If I click here, for example, on more information, it's not like a lot of really important extra information shows up. The videos are a bit outdated and the ratings, well, they're right here. And of course, let's say that people usually post positive comments here. In other words, companies tend to put positive comments here. And well, here it gives us a text saying that when an immigrant or an immigrant community has access to financial tools and resources, they change the future for themselves and their loved ones and so on and so forth. That's why I say this is mainly for when you move abroad and want to send money back home. So let's look at another important thing, how to know if you'll actually be able to make a transaction. You need to go to the top where the two flags appear. On the left are the countries from which we can send money. So we can send money from the United States, Germany, Australia, Austria, Belgium, and all the other countries listed here. Now, to which countries can we send money? We can send money to these countries listed here: Mexico, the Philippines, India, Colombia, Albania. Well, basically almost all of them. As you can see here, we find all these details. Then we see here that it says United States Virgin Islands coming soon. It's not yet available. Here as well, Macau coming soon, Taiwan coming soon, and that's it. Now, you're probably wondering, what are the fees? What are the commissions? We need to check them right here where it says exchange rates and fees. So at the current time that I am recording this particular video, $1 United States dollar that we send from the United States will currently have an approximate exchange rate of precisely 3,737.04 Colombian pesos. So here it tells us that it offers this exchange rate with no hidden fees, and it says join today and get a promotional exchange rate of 3,864.10 pesos per dollar on your first money transfer. So for your first money transfer, I'll leave a link in the description for you to sign up. There you'll get that promotion if you want to make your first money transfer from the United States to Colombia or, well, any of these countries listed here. Because, for example, if I choose Italy, it changes, and since Italy uses euros, it tells me that 1 euro equals 4,061. Let's do a quick comparison here. Let's go back to the United States. Let's look here for dollar to Colombian peso, and we see that right now it's at 3,873.84. So let's open the calculator and go from here. Let's enter this amount here, 3,873.84. And now let's subtract this other amount here, 3,737.04. That is, the difference as of today is 136 pesos and 8 cents, at least in Colombia. Now, if we switch to another currency, obviously it will be different. Let's go back to Italy and look up euro to Colombian peso, and we see here that it's at 4,123. Let's see what the difference is. It's not much. Unlike the dollar, 4,123, let's enter it exactly with decimals, specifically 0.06 minus 4,061.37. That comes out to a difference of 61 pesos, precisely 61.69. Why did I just do this? Because in future videos I'm going to bring you even more valuable platforms like these that allow us to make seamless transfers from one place in the world to another. And it's important for you to know that almost all of these platforms are pretty much the same. They usually use the same systems, but what changes is either the speed or directly the exchange rate, which in the end makes a big difference. Because as we saw earlier, for example, they take 61 pesos from us for every euro, and the more euros we add up, this really becomes something significant. Now, let's scroll down here, and in fact it tells us that this offer applies to the first $1,000 sent, this rate that's mentioned as the promotion. So if we send more than $1,000, this wouldn't apply. In other words, starting from $1,000, the other rate would apply, which is the one shown up above. Now, to send money, these are the fees for sending money from the United States to Colombia. So if we send less than $500, they charge us a fixed fee of $3.99. And if we send $500 or more specifically, they won't charge us anything. But it does state here that there are no fees on our first Remitly transfer. On our first transfer, remember that well, because after that, other fees will start to apply. Now, in Colombia specifically, which is where I am currently located, I just showed you these particular logos over here. And the thing is, you can say that with Remitly, you send the money so that it reaches an institution for the person to whom you want to send the money. So from the United States, from, I don't know, Bank of America, for example, if we have an account there, or TD Bank, well, whichever bank it is, we simply have money there and we say we want it to be sent to the person's Bancolombia account in Colombia, and the person won't have to do anything at all except receive the money. And here, well, we have the frequently asked questions section. Here, I've already logged into the platform, so you can clearly see exactly what it looks like when you enter. So here it tells us about the offer for new customers, which is about that they give us a certain discount. And to send the money, we simply go to the top left where it clearly says send money. Exactly. And here it's going to ask us what we're going to send. For example, if we send $1,000, then $200, this tells us exactly how much the person will receive, 4,611,508 pesos. Then we have two different options. The first is the express option, which is a faster transfer, so the money arrives more quickly. Then we have another option called economic, which is like the best price. At this point, it doesn't really change much for us because it's the first time we're sending money, and that's why it stays the same. But for example, if I enter $5,000, it will still show me the same thing here, but that's where the fine print comes in that everyone should pay attention to. The first thing is that it says the offer for new customers has been applied. This transfer has no fees, and the promotional exchange rate will be applied for the first $1,000. So I'm entering 5,000. If I choose this express option for the first 3,000, they'll give me 3,864.10. But for the remaining amount, which is 4,000, they're applying an exchange rate of 3,737.04. And then, well, the same thing happens with the economic option. But here, the difference is that the rate doesn't change so drastically. For example, here it drops to 3,737, and here it drops to 3,803. The difference is about around 63 pesos, more or less. And the thing is, this makes the money arrive faster, while with the economic option, it's cheaper. I mean, it's better for us because in the end, it does turn out cheaper. That is, the person receiving the money gets more, but at the same time, it will take longer to arrive. So once we've made our choice, let's select Express. We click Continue. Next, in delivery method, this is where we choose how we want the money to be delivered. So we want it to be a bank deposit. Here, we'll have to choose which bank the person will receive the money in. It says here that the recipient's account must be enabled to receive international money transfers, or the transfer will be delayed. It's important to tell the person that they absolutely must have international deposits enabled on their savings or checking account, because otherwise there could be problems. Then we have the cash pickup option, where a person can go directly to a location or ATM and withdraw money with a code or similar. And then we have mobile wallets, which in Colombia are called low amount deposit accounts, like Bancolombia a la Mano, DaviPlata, Movi, and Neki. Now, this is going to vary. If you are from another country, obviously what appears will be different from what I see. You'll see other bank accounts, other methods, and each of you will have to choose accordingly. Let's suppose it's to Nequi. And we continue here. This is where we need to enter the recipient's name. So who exactly is this money truly going to? It's important to note that, for example, you might be sending money to someone specifically named Camila, but in the end, the account receiving the deposit, the mobile wallet, might actually be under the name Ramiro. The important thing to remember is that the name you carefully enter here must precisely match the name of the actual account holder. Please do not put a different name because that could potentially cause problems. So let's suppose here it's Camila Martinez, as it says there. And for example, the second last name is Gonzalez. And then we click Continue. After this, it will ask us for the recipient's address, in this case their home address. So we can enter Carrera 2152A, for example, and for city, let's put Bogota, and then for department, let's put Bogota, DC, and then we click Continue. Next, the recipient's phone number, and then here it specifically asks if we want to send a notification to the intended recipient once the money has been successfully sent, so that the person receives important updates step by step. The money has been sent, the money has been deposited, the money is available for withdrawal, and so on. That depends on each of you. In this case, let's say yes, please do it. And then our information, here we need to enter our details to make the payment. So for example, let's enter the information shown here, John Smith, date of birth. Here it tells us to confirm our information. We click confirm, and here again we have to enter our address. This is now an address directly from where we're going to send the money. That's why up here on the right, it doesn't allow us to send from just anywhere, because look, these are the only countries available from which we can send money, for example, in this case to Colombia. So the person sending money absolutely must have an address in their country of residence, in this case in the United States. So here we would enter it and that's it. Once we've entered all the information, the option to pay by card will appear. Here, quite obviously, we would have to carefully enter the specific card we are going to use to make the payment. This is indeed the only method that we are currently allowed to link here. And importantly, we can certainly use credit cards, but the significant downside is that there's a 3% surcharge applied to the amount we send, whereas with debit cards, there are absolutely no additional charges. For those who don't know, debit cards are the ones linked or associated with savings accounts, while credit cards are, as the name suggests, simply credit cards. You just simply add it here with all the relevant and necessary information, then click next. And that's it, you successfully send your money to the intended person. And from there, you'll simply start receiving real-time updates and the person will directly get the money deposited into their bank account, their low-value deposit account, or their mobile wallet. And that's all there is to it. So that's the end of this video. Honestly, Remitly is a very simple, very easy to use service. So I recommend that if it works for you among these options, if you're in one of these countries and need to send money to any of the countries we mentioned earlier, go ahead and do it, because it's truly a great platform that works pretty much worldwide. See you next time. Bye bye.